Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite places in Miami, Key Biscayne. But the big question everyone out there has is Key Biscayne really worth the price tag? We're going to dive in and tell you the answers to that question today. Because on paper, you're paying a real big premium for living on a small barrier island with one road in and one road out. Very few amenities like restaurants and shops and nightlife, one grocery store. Really, you have to leave the island for a lot of things, and that's a 20-30 minute drive. So that's something that you have to consider very closely before you jump into Key Biscayne Lifestyle. And yet, amazingly, once people move there, they almost never leave. They make that drive daily with a smile on their face. Today, I'm going to break it all down for you and give you the honest answer about lifestyle, about pricing, about what it is to live on Key Biscayne. I'm also going to make sure that you fully understand it could be the best decision you ever made, or it really could be a real problem. And I'll tell you, the answer is not the same for everyone. It really depends on what kind of lifestyle you're looking for. I'm Riley Smith, and I run a large team here in Miami, and we sell real estate all over South Florida. One of the areas we specialize in is Key Biscayne, so we're going to dive into all things Key Biscayne. So number one today is got to be price. Key Biscayne is expensive, folks. Let's just put it out there. It has got some of the highest price per square foot properties in all of South Florida, and this is something you need to know when you start thinking about how to navigate all things that Key Biscayne have to offer. What do you actually get from living on Key Biscayne that you can't ascertain when you're looking at Zillow or one of those sites and staring at the beautiful photos of the properties? Of course, you can see the blue skies and the water and the beach. Everybody who has apartment looking at the beach is going to show that off. But what you really get in Key Biscayne that you don't know and you can't tell from the internet is a sense of community and lifestyle that is totally unmatched in South Florida. So if we're comparing Key Biscayne to some other neighborhoods, it's pretty obvious to go over and jump to Miami Beach and compare Key Biscayne and Miami Beach. There's some major differences, of course. Both have expensive homes, both have expensive condos, both have waterfront properties. But Miami Beach is where all the action is in Miami. The hot spot, the highlight, the weekends, the place swells up like crazy. The tourists go, the locals go. So you have to be ready for the hustle and bustle. But Key Biscayne is a different animal. Key Biscayne remains calm year round. There's plenty of people there. There's plenty to do on the island, but it never feels too crowded. It never feels overwhelming like the feeling you can have sometimes in Miami Beach. Me personally, when you add up all the costs, the premium you pay to be there, the lifestyle, the inconvenience of the bridge, is it really justified? To me, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. I've had so many clients that have bought there and have thanked me that we steered them in that direction. Once they've really gotten themselves ingrained in the community, figured out how to live on the island, figured out the timing of their commutes, they really can't imagine living anywhere else in South Florida. Number two is an obvious one. There's one road in and one road out. Let's talk about that for a minute. For some people, this can be a real headache and a real nightmare, and it is true. There's times when the traffic is pretty bad. But I gotta tell you, I spent a lot of days in my lifetime driving over that bridge, that island. If you're there in the morning, you're riding your bike, or you're driving over, it is pretty magical. Or even when you're coming home, watching the sunset reflecting off the water. It is a pretty beautiful drive, and every single time I do it, and I've done it thousands of times, I find myself relaxing as I head over to the island as soon as I come down off the causeway. So there is something special about that drive that you don't get anywhere else in South Florida, with the views and everything else that are going on, and the anticipation of arriving at Key Biscayne, that I think outweighs sometimes the traffic that you have to deal with. Of course, if you have to commute to work, the causeway can be a problem, and most people do commute to work that are working, and that's the key. There's a lot of people here that have second homes, vacation homes. There's a lot of people that are retired, and they don't have to leave the Key every day 9 o'clock to get to an office job or whatever job they have on the mainland. So it really depends on your lifestyle and where you are in life. If you got to work downtown, actually it's not as bad as you think. It's a shorter commute from Key Biscayne to downtown than from a lot of other places in Miami. You just got to clear the bridge, hang a right on Brickell, and you're there. So the commute is actually not as bad as most people think, but it does get a little tedious. Sometimes you have to leave the island 2 or 3 times. If you have kids in school, you're coming back and forth, you want to go out to dinner. So you do got to be prepared to spend a little more time in your car than most people. First thing that doesn't take very long is adapting to island life. Everybody that we put over there in a matter of weeks, days, or months have told me how fast they've simulated and how fast they've adjusted to living on a small island. And they pretty much all tell me they made the right decision. When we think about the island, we talk about the commute back and forth, but the traffic isn't terrible. Of course, there's a pickup in the morning, and of course, there's a pickup in the evening. But really, you can navigate Key Biscayne pretty much at any time. And one of the best parts about the traffic there is you get yourself a golf cart, you circumvent a lot of the problems, you feel really cool, laid back in that island life when you're cruising around in your golf cart. So number 3 has to be lifestyle. Is there anything to do on Key Biscayne This is what I hear from a lot of people and something we make sure you understand. Yes, there is a lot more happening on the Key than you realize, and we're going to dive into that now. So once you're in the know in Key Biscayne, there is so much to do on this island. Of course, the obvious is go to the beach, and all people from Miami head over there to the beach on the weekends. But if you live on the island, you pretty much have the beaches to yourself during the week, in the mornings and in the evenings. Maybe you want to watch out on the weekends. It does get a little crazy. But of course, we start with the beach because we are on an island. But there's so much more going on this island. They've got a lot of boutique shops and restaurants. They've got that island vibe, like I said, with the golf carts. A couple major communities. You've got a community center and a youth center for the kids that is unbelievable and might be one of the best in all of South Florida. And of course, you also have the Key Biscayne Yacht Club, which I think is one of the big hubs and main coming together points from the residents of Key Biscayne. I spend a lot of time there myself and find this place to be one of the most relaxing, beautiful spots in all of Miami with absolutely the best view of downtown. And lastly, when we're talking about what is there to do in Key Biscayne, you've got to think about the outdoor life. Key Biscayne has got one of the best public golf courses in Miami, and they also have an incredible tennis center. They used to hold the Miami Open there. They've got courts everywhere. It's a spectacular tennis center. So you can't really think about Key Biscayne without talking about all the tennis options. And now you got all kind of pickleball options. And of course, they have an amazing municipal golf course. There's generally two people that find themselves in Key Biscayne. The people that thrive right away and the people that think, maybe I made a mistake and the quiet lifestyle is not for me. Key Biscayne, especially if you have a family, is a place you're probably going to call home for a long time. There is absolutely, hands down, no better, more exciting, safer, community-oriented place to raise your family than Key Biscayne. Yes, you have to leave the island to go to a lot of schools. They have some good private elementary schools, but besides leaving the island for schooling, that school offers everything. The kids have access to the beach, lots of pools, all the soccer fields. They've got community areas all over the place. You can jump in a golf cart at a young age and have a freedom that you don't get to have. It's one of the absolute safest places on the island. So if you're a family and you're raising your kids there, you surely are not leaving Key Biscayne until they leave the nest. On the other side, if you're not necessarily a family person, it does get a little quiet. If you're looking for that nightlife, if you really are enjoying going out and all of that comes with Miami and the excitement that we have in the evening, you may want to think about getting off the island, as the island is definitely not thriving after dark. Another group of people it's really good for is retired people or part-timers, and we have a lot of those there. We have a lot of people that use it a couple times out of the year to come for vacation. That's a big part of who owns over there. And we also have a lot of people who are retired, who just want that laid-back island lifestyle. They're strolling around, riding their golf cart to the grocery store, popping in over to the beach or being outside. So it really does work for a lot of people, but there's certainly a group of people that don't quite get the Key Biscayne lifestyle and appreciate all that it offers. So in my opinion, Key Biscayne is a step up from just about everywhere. Whether you're coming from Miami Beach, getting out of Condo Canyon over there in Brickell, I think if you can find your way and you can find a price point that works for you on Key Biscayne, you can't go wrong. I love this place. I'm born and raised in Miami. I spent so much of my time over there. My family used to rent a place over there in the summer so we could just hang out as kids. So I have such a fond memory growing up there and being there. And so many people that I know that live on the Key are just excited about that community that they have there. It really is unmatched, I think, anywhere else in Miami. Number 4, and a question I get asked all the time, and it's the easiest answer. Is it a good place to raise children? As you just heard me in the video, yes, yes, and yes. As a kid there, you get freedoms that you don't get pretty much anywhere else. Your parents aren't worried. It's one of the safest places in South Florida. Like I said, you get to use a golf cart and run around at a young age. Ride your bike. There's paths everywhere. And they have fields on top of fields on top of fields. They have an incredible youth program there. So they really understand that kids are the heartbeat of that community. And the city officials do a great job to make sure the kids have access to everything they need. Growing up as a kid there, trust me, is unbelievable. Of course, there's always the question of schools. They do have a couple small private schools. My daughter went to a Montessori school there. There is another St. Agnes is another big school over there. But after that, the school choices are a little limited because, of course, it's an island. They don't have a lot of space. But you can jump over the bridge. And the first thing you can get to is Mass Academy. That's an option for some people in Key Biscayne. And as soon as you get over the bridge, if you're going to go the private school route, certainly you're going to be in Coconut Grove, which is the first community right off the bridge. And they have some of the best schools in the entire world right there. Also, there's some very good elementary and public school options for you. Other than that, being on the island is unbelievable. Yes, as kids, you have to do a little commuting back and forth, but most kids I know live there wouldn't trade it for the world. So a lot of buyers that we talk to, when they're thinking about Key Biscayne, they're also thinking about other options in South Florida. Because of course, as you heard earlier, Key Biscayne is one of the most expensive per foot places to live. So they're always exploring other options. When you get off the island, you do get other things. You are going to probably get a little bit bigger yard. You're going to get a bigger house. You're certainly going to get a larger community that you'll have access to, and you won't have to make that commute. So that's something that a lot of people talk about and think about is, what are the options elsewhere, but what am I giving up and what am I missing from that Key Biscayne lifestyle when I make that decision? A big question we get is Key Biscayne or Coconut Grove. What's funny is those two look right at each other. Key Biscayne's a barrier island. You steer straight across Biscayne Bay and you see Coconut Grove, which is one of the best spots in South Florida to live. Of course, I'm biased. I'm born and raised here. I've been here my whole life. But I spent a lot of time on both. Matter of fact, I used to jump on my boat and drive across over to Key Biscayne to pick up my daughter who went to school there. So I'm very familiar with both. It is interesting to watch the buyers decide which one is a better fit for them. In Coconut Grove, we have a bigger community. We've got a bigger downtown area. We've got more shops, more restaurants, and a little bit more of a life here and access to other things like airports and other parts of Miami that make it more convenient. We also have schools. Some of the best schools in here. So if you don't want to drive that bridge every day for school or for your kids, this is something you may want to consider. You'll get a bigger house. You'll get a better lot. These are also things to think about. On the flip side, as soon as you get to Key Biscayne, I feel like the community is a little bit tighter there. It's a little safer there, and it's a little easier for people to navigate and run around. The kids have a little more freedom. There's just not a lot of cars on Key Biscayne after hours. We're in the Grove. We are in the middle of a big city. You have to commute right through there to get to other parts of Miami. It is a little bit more hustle and bustle here, but both the communities, you really can't go wrong. It's hard to say which one is better than the other. So when we're working with buyers, really the main thing we need to understand is, what is their lifestyle going to be like? What is their daily routine going to be like? If they have kids, are they okay commuting? If they have to go to work, are they okay going over the bridge? Or are they looking for a little bit quieter, more relaxed, and where they don't have to get in a car every day, where they can walk to a lot of places, ride the golf cart, or just get access to the beach every day? You'd be surprised how many beach lovers are out there. So understanding their lifestyle and where they are in their current time and place, really important, so that we can help them make the right decision so that they won't regret it later. As I always tell you, the one thing you cannot change in a real estate purchase is your location. So we spend a lot of time making sure you understand the pluses and cons of being on an island, the pluses and cons of being here, Coconut Grove, or the surrounding areas before you make that final decision. You can't talk about Key Biscayne without talking about what is it like to actually purchase something there. We've got two main products in Key Biscayne. You've got single family homes and you've got condos. We've got a house listed on Ridgewood, for example, that is listed at around $3.5 million. It gets you a completely renovated 2,200 square foot house. So that's one thing if you're going the house route. That's on the lower end for Key Biscayne. Of course, Key Biscayne is famous for its canals. We've got all kind of canal space. We've got waterfront. So the prices is just explode from there. But really, if you want to move into something that's move-in ready, this house is one of the best for its price point. So of course, if you want to talk condos, there's all kind of condo options. We have one listed on Ocean Lane Drive, Unit 401, that looks right out over the water. Spectacular living. That's also listed just under $4 million. You get a little bigger space. Of course, you don't have the privacy of your own yard, but you do get all the condominium amenities, and you get to walk out your back door and put your feet in the sand in a matter of seconds. So it really depends on what your lifestyle is. If you're raising a family, maybe you want to be in a single family home for a while, but if you're here part-time or you're retired, maybe you want the ease of living in a condo where you can lock the door and go, or where you don't have any maintenance that you want to deal with, or you want that beach access. Because there is nothing like living in a condo on Key Biscayne where you can walk out your back door every morning and go see the sunrise, put your feet in the water, toes in the sand, and enjoy that. So you've got condo living, you've got single family living. There are a few townhouses there, but not many. Those are your two main choices. Then it's just a matter of price. We've got prices from as low as $1 million all the way up to $50 million and more, depending on what you're looking for. We have absolutely some of the best waterfront living in all of South Florida on Key Biscayne, whether you want a canal for privacy or for safety of your boat, or whether you want to be open bay staring back at the city of Miami. Key Biscayne has got something for everyone. Lastly, let's answer the question, is it worth it? We've covered price, we've covered the commutes, we've covered the schools. Really, what I want people to understand or listen to this video is, if you are looking for that laid-back lifestyle with a real great sense of community and an unbelievable place for your kids to grow up, or if you're a little bit older and you just want the convenience of a great condo and access to the water, there is really no place like Key Biscayne. I don't know many people who have ever bought out there that regret living there, even at the steep prices they have to pay to get in. And Key Biscayne real estate has held its value, continues to go up no matter what happens. Hurricanes have come and gone, all kinds of things have happened, and yet there it is again, Key Biscayne leading South Florida in price per square foot. So I think if you look at the numbers, or if you talk to the people that live there, the easy answer is yes, it's worth it. It's not for everybody, but for those who want those things, they want that safe community, they want the beautiful surroundings that it has to offer, you cannot go wrong and you cannot duplicate Key Biscayne. So what do you think about island living? I'd love to hear, so please drop me a comment below. Also, please don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. I try to do one every week on different parts of Miami. If you know anybody that might be interested in hearing more about Key Biscayne, please send them this video and let them know where they can check out my channel. I'll see you on the next one.